So welcome back to my channel. In this video we are going to discuss about the selection sort. The selection sort algorithm sorts an array by repeatedly finding the minimum element from the unsorted part and putting it at the beginning. So we will discuss one example so that your concept will be clear about the selection sort. With the array size, that is n is the one variable which is used to denote the array size, that is equal to 4, with the array size 4, and elements are 10, 14, 5 and 1. What happens in selection sort is that we consider the first element of that array as the smallest element from that array from our side and try to find out the minimum element from the entire array and swap that minimum element with this first element which we have selected. So we will compare here 10 with 14. Is 14 less than 10? No. Then we will compare, is 5 less than 10? Yes. So we will consider 5 as the our minimum element up to here. And then we will also compare the 5, is 1 less than 5? Yes. And this is the minimum element, that is smallest element from our entire array, and we will swap this element with the element which we have selected as the minimum element, that is with our first element. So we will swap 1 and 10. So our array becomes 1, 14, 5 and 10. So this is sorted array and this part is unsorted array. So what happen in selection sort, that after one iteration ultimately the element which is the smallest will come forward, and then we have to consider the next element as our smallest element, that is next element as a minimum element. So we will consider the 14 as our minimum element initially from our side. Then we will compare the 14 with 5. Is 5 less than 14? Yes. Then we will assign minimum as that 5, and then we will compare 5 with 10. Is 10 less than 5? No. Then our smallest element is 5, and then we will swap it with the minimum element which we have considered from our side, that is 14. So we will swap 5 and 14. So our array become 1, 5, 14 and 10. So 1 and 5 is sorted array because after two iteration the two smallest number from the array have come forward, and then 14 and 10 are unsorted array. Again we will consider this again we will consider this 14 as the minimum element from our unsorted array, that is first element of the unsorted array is always considered as the minimum element, and then we will compare 14 with the rest of the element, that is 14 with 10. Then minimum element from this array is 10, and we will swap it with the first element that we have selected, that is 14. So our after swapping our array will be 1, 5, 10 and 14. So you does not require to compare that element with itself, that is 14 with itself. So this comparison is not required. So for this sorting you will require two loops, one for loops for selecting this minimum element initially, and one for loop for finding out the smallest element from the entire array. For the selecting the minimum element, that is this 1, 10, this cross in the cross, you just required n minus 1 time iterations, and for finding out the smallest element you require n times, that is less than n time and less than n minus 1 times. So we will see the code of it. Here we have written one function called as selection sort. In that we have passed the two parameters, one for the array and another for the size of that array, that is a for the array and n for the size of that array. Then we have declare some variables I, j, mean and temp. Mean is used to store the position of the smallest element and temp is used for the swapping of the element. For I is equal to 0, I is less than n minus 1, I plus plus. This for loop is used to select the first element from unsorted array that we have already discussed previously. For j is equal to I plus 1, j is less than n, j plus plus. This for loop is used to find out smallest element from that array. And this temp is equal to a of mean is equal to a of I is equal to temp. This is the swapping logic. So we will consider the same example, that is 10, 14, 5 and 1, and see how this code works to sort these elements. So initially the n will be equal to 4 because we have 4 element, and this I condition will be I should be less than n minus 1, that is I should be less than 3, and j should be less than n, that is j should be less than 4. So initially our I is equal to 0. We are assigning that value to the mean, therefore the mean value will be equal to 0. First we are checking that 0 is less than 3, yes, so it will execute that for loop, then it will assign the value of I to the mean, then the j value will be I plus 1, that is 1. Then we are checking that is 1 less than 4, that is j should be less than 4, yes. Then we are checking that a of j is a of j less than a of mean, then we are giving the j value to the mean. So we will check this condition, that is a of j, that is a of 1 is less than a of mean, that is a of 0, that is 14 less than 10, which is false. Then j value will be incremented, j value will be become 2. It will check that 2 is less than 4, yes, that for loop will be executed. Then it will check is a of 2 less than a of 0, so it will check that is 5 less than 10, so it will assign, this is true, 5 is less than 10, it will assign the value of j to the mean, that is j value is 2, and it will assign it to the mean, that mean become 2, and then it will increment the value of j value will become 3, is 3 less than 4, yes. Then it will check the condition again, if a of j, that is a of 3 is less than a of mean, that is mean value is 2, that is it will check that a of 3, that is 1 is less than 5, yes. Then it will assign the value of j to the mean again, then the mean will become 3. Then it will again the increment the value of j will be become 4, 4 is not less than 4, the condition is false. Then it will swap a of mean and a of I, that is a mean value is 3 and I value is 0, then it will swap the element at 3 and element at 0, that means it will swap 10 and 1, our array becomes 1, 14, 5 and 10. So try to solve rest of the iterations by your own.